There's something you need to hear today, something that was meant to reach you exactly at this point in your journey. This message didn't arrive late. It didn't miss the mark. It was timed by something far greater than coincidence. What you've been praying for, hoping for, staying awake at night believing for, it's not only on its way, it's already unfolding, quietly, boldly, behind the scenes. And now the curtains are finally starting to pull back. You, chosen one, are stepping into what you've long been preparing for, even when you didn't realize that every delay, every denial, every moment of silence was setting the stage for this very arrival. You're not here by accident. You didn't click on this video by mistake. The universe, or better yet, divine timing, placed this moment in your path so you'd remember something critical. You were made for this. The doors are opening, the shift is happening. But your awareness is the key. So before we move forward, type in the comments, "I reclaim my time and energy and space," or just 333 or 999 if this resonates with you. And if you feel moved, share your experience. Tell us what you've been carrying in silence. You're not alone. Welcome. Today we're going to reveal what it means to truly step into what you've prayed for and how you'll know it's happening. Because too often, chosen ones second-guess the very blessings they asked for. Why? Because blessings don't always feel like joy at first. Sometimes they come in the form of isolation, of redirection, of things falling apart. But beneath it all, something sacred is rebuilding. Let's begin here. You've always had a deep sense that you were meant for something more. Not because of ego, but because your soul carried codes from the very beginning that whispered, "You are here to do something bigger." You've seen it in your dreams, felt it in the pit of your stomach, known it even when people around you tried to make you feel crazy, ungrateful, or too ambitious. They couldn't see your vision because it wasn't theirs to carry. That knowing inside you wasn't false hope, it was divine memory. A reminder that you are not just another person trying to survive. You are a vessel that carries legacy, healing, revolution, light. But here's the catch. Before you step into what you prayed for, you must be stretched, transformed. There is no shortcut. The chosen ones don't walk an easy path. They walk a worthy one, and your worthiness was never up for debate. But your readiness, that's been in the making for years, maybe even lifetimes, and that's why it felt like everything was falling apart. That job that didn't work out, it wasn't punishment, it was redirection. That relationship that ended suddenly, it wasn't rejection, it was protection. That period of silence, where you felt abandoned by the very source you prayed to, it wasn't abandonment, it was alignment. All of it, every piece of pain, every night you cried yourself to sleep, every morning you woke up feeling like your time would never come, was a chapter in the story that would make you unshakable when the promise arrived. And now, it's arriving. But let me warn you, it doesn't always knock. Sometimes, what you prayed for walks in wearing the disguise of challenge. Sometimes it asks you to trust without answers, to leap without a safety net, to speak even when your voice shakes, and to stand firm even when the ground under you trembles. Because stepping into what you prayed for means stepping into who you've become while waiting for it. You're not the same person who made those prayers. You've been stripped of old beliefs, broken out of illusions, freed from environments that were never built for your growth. And that version of you, the wiser, stronger, clearer version, is the one who can receive and hold what's coming. But here's the beautiful twist. The signs are already around you. The alignment has already begun. You're noticing little shifts, small breakthroughs, unexpected blessings that are all pointing to one undeniable truth. You're stepping into what you prayed for. But in order to fully receive what's unfolding, you must be present, deeply, consciously, undeniably present. Because even though you've waited for this season, if your mind is stuck in the past or your energy still tied to what broke you, you might overlook the very thing you asked for when it arrives. And that's what happens to many chosen ones. They pray for alignment but stay attached to misalignment. They ask for clarity but keep clinging to confusion. They desire love, but don't release the wounds from old betrayals. And the universe, in its infinite wisdom, doesn't withhold. It waits. It waits for your energy to match the frequency of what you asked for. It waits for your boundaries to become firm. It waits for you to stop shrinking and start rising. That's what this moment is about. A divine checkpoint. A moment of realization that you're not waiting anymore. You're aligning. It starts small. You wake up one day and you no longer feel desperate. The ache in your chest is replaced by peace. You're not chasing anymore. You're magnetizing. People from your past might try to re-enter your life, but they no longer carry the same weight. You're less reactive, more grounded, more silent, not because you're afraid, but because your power no longer needs to shout. And in that silence, you begin to hear everything clearly. Your intuition speaks louder. Your body becomes more sensitive to energy. You recognize patterns you once tolerated. You stop explaining your worth. You stop justifying your dreams. And that quiet strength, that's the echo of your answered prayer. That's what it feels like to become who you needed to be in order to receive what's coming. You've been asking the universe, or God, for clarity, for peace, for breakthrough. But have you noticed? It's already here, in the form of your awareness, in the way your heart no longer chases validation, in the way you walk into rooms and no longer dim your light, in the way you say no with ease, in the way you trust yourself, even when the world doubts you. Because that's the paradox of divine timing. It's not just about when things arrive, it's about when you arrive. And right now, you've arrived. The door in front of you isn't locked. It never was. But you needed to become someone who no longer knocks with hesitation. You had to be someone who walks through it with confidence. That opportunity that felt out of reach before. It's circling back. That dream that seemed impossible. It's preparing a place for you. That version of you that once felt too big for this world. It's the exact version the world needs right now. But here's what they don't tell you about stepping into what you prayed for. It comes with responsibility. Because the universe doesn't hand you blessings without purpose. What you're receiving now isn't just for your comfort, it's for your calling. You're not just being elevated, you're being positioned. Positioned to lead, to inspire, to transform. You've been through too much to stay silent now. Your voice carries healing. Your presence activates others. Your story isn't just yours, it's a roadmap for someone else who's still in the dark, still questioning their worth, still asking if they'll ever make it out. So what does that mean? It means that now, more than ever, you have to move like the prayer's already been answered. You have to think, speak, act and love like someone who's already stepped into the promise. You don't wait for confirmation. You are the confirmation. You don't ask for permission. You give yourself the green light. And if doubt creeps in, let it come. Let it knock on your door and then show it who you've become. Let it remind you of how far you've come, how many fires you walked through, how many storms you survived, how many nights you kept your faith when it would have been easier to give up. Because now the weather has shifted, the clouds are clearing, the air feels different. You're not in the waiting room anymore, you're on the threshold. This is sacred ground. This is where the caterpillar becomes the butterfly. This is where the chosen one steps into visibility. And even if it feels unfamiliar, even if part of you wants to shrink back, don't. Not this time. You didn't come this far to repeat old cycles. You didn't heal this much just to go back to what broke you. You didn't pray all those prayers, cry all those tears, walk through all that darkness just to settle for a watered-down version of your destiny. You're not just stepping into a new chapter, you're stepping into the answer. And now that you're in this space, this divine intersection between past struggles and future glory, the only thing left to do is trust it. Not just trust the outcome, but trust you. Because the prayer wasn't answered when your circumstances changed. It was answered the moment you believed you were worthy of more. The moment you dared to think, maybe I wasn't wrong for wanting better. Maybe I wasn't crazy for dreaming big. Maybe my sensitivity wasn't a weakness. Maybe it was the proof I was never meant to live numb. And now, that belief is shaping your reality. So don't be surprised if things start falling away. People, habits, environments, all shedding like old skin. Because stepping into what you prayed for requires a different version of you than the one who first made the request. Growth demands release, and elevation demands lightness. You're not losing anything, you're clearing space. The kind of space that can't be filled with distractions, emotional residue, or anything that no longer aligns with your truth. You're being upgraded, not just externally, but internally. You're becoming someone who no longer looks for signs. Because now you are the sign. You're the proof that prayers are heard. You're the evidence that divine timing is real. You're the walking embodiment of what happens when faith meets preparation, when surrender meets action, when intuition is honored louder than fear. So stop questioning whether you're ready. You are. Stop checking if the blessing is real. It is. Stop wondering if it's going to last. It will, as long as you keep choosing what chose you. Because that's the key. What you prayed for didn't just land in your lap. It responded to your soul's frequency. You called this season in with your resilience, your healing, your persistence. The prayers were not empty words whispered in a void. They were a signal, a transmission, and now the universe is responding loud and clear. Yes, I heard you. But here's where it gets deeper. This blessing, it's layered. It's not just about receiving something. It's about becoming someone. This isn't just your reward, it's your awakening. You'll start noticing subtle shifts. Your reactions change. What once triggered you now teaches you. What once felt like rejection now reveals your redirection. You're no longer fighting to be seen. You're choosing to see yourself. And that changes everything, because people will feel it. They'll see you, and something will shift in their spirit. Not because you're loud, not because you demand attention, but because your alignment is undeniable. You carry an energy that speaks before you do. You carry peace in rooms full of chaos. You carry light in places that forgot what hope felt like. And while others search for proof that it's their time, you are the proof. You are the answered prayer someone else has been waiting for. You are the example that healing is possible, that reinvention is possible. That spiritual victory doesn't look like escaping the world. It looks like standing in it, unshaken. So let this message be your reminder. You're not behind. You're not off track. You're not late. You're right on time. The inner work you've done didn't go unnoticed. The quiet moments where you chose peace over proving yourself, those were seen. The nights you surrendered instead of forcing, those were sacred. The times you chose to forgive, even when it hurt, those weren't in vain. Those moments built this moment, and now all the things you asked for are within reach. Not just to be seen, but to be held. Not just to be imagined, but to be lived. Not just to be longed for, but embodied. But here's the sacred truth many don't realize. The blessing doesn't come with loud celebration. It often arrives wrapped in calm, in silence, in confirmation that feels like peace. That's how you know it's from God, because it doesn't create urgency, it creates certainty. You feel it in your bones. You no longer ask if you're worthy. You remember that you always were. And now you don't just walk differently, you move differently. You're not rushing. You're not explaining. You're not negotiating your value. You're not available for confusion. You're not interested in anything that costs your peace. You've stepped into what you prayed for, and that means everything that doesn't match that frequency naturally falls away. You've entered a new energetic contract, one where your only job is to be who you prayed to become, to speak with the clarity you once begged to find, to move with the certainty you once envied in others, to receive with the grace you've been learning all these years. Because the work is done, and now it's time to live the answer. So now that you know that it was always you, that the divine delay was not denial, it was divine design, that the detours were hidden shortcuts to your inner strength, that the pain had purpose and the purpose had precision. What do you do next? You own it. You walk with the awareness that you're not just in your breakthrough, you are your breakthrough. Your mere presence in this moment is proof that transformation is real, that the prayers weren't wasted, that the waiting wasn't empty, that God's silence was never absence. It was strategy. It was alignment. It was your roots growing before your wings could stretch. And now, you're soaring. But this time, you don't need applause to validate your movement. You don't need confirmation from others to believe what your soul already knows. You don't need a map, because now you trust the navigator within. This is your era of discernment, your season of clarity. The veil is lifting, and you see now that the things that once scared you only had power because you didn't know who you were yet. But now you do. Now you know that closed doors weren't punishments, they were protection. Now you know that delay wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Now you know that your prayers were being answered the whole time, just not in the way you expected. Because the universe didn't want to give you what you thought you needed. It wanted to give you what you were born to carry. Something bigger, something divine, something not even you could sabotage because it was written long before your fears ever showed up. You are not walking into this season with scarcity. You are walking with fullness. You are not walking in hoping. You are walking in knowing. You are not walking with baggage. You are walking with wisdom. You are stepping into what you prayed for. And you finally understand why it took this long. Because what's arriving now needed you to be this version of you. The healed you, the aware you, the self-trusting you, the you that no longer explains your energy but protects it. And that's why this season is going to feel so different. It's not that everything outside will change instantly. It's that you have changed. And that means your experience of everything around you will shift radically. You will no longer chase. You will attract. You will no longer beg. You will choose. You will no longer shrink. You will rise. You don't need a miracle. You are the miracle. So move accordingly, speak accordingly, rest accordingly, love accordingly. Choose who gets access to your time, energy, and space accordingly. Because this isn't the end of your journey. It's the start of the chapter you've been waiting to live. The one where you don't just hope it works out. You know it's already working in your favor. So take a breath, place your hand on your heart, and remind yourself, this is what I prayed for, and I am ready. Let the doubts fade, let the past dissolve. Let the worry shrink under the weight of your knowing. Because it's your time now, your time to show up fully, your time to rise without apology, your time to live without delay, your time to love with your whole soul, your time to take up space in the world you were created to impact. This is not just a message, it's a moment where everything begins to align with what's always been yours. So don't miss it. The universe is watching, your angels are cheering, and God is saying, well done, let's begin.